Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I'm so excited to have on the inaugural Shed Guy, a 38-year-old from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. His hockey journey has taken him to Canada, England, and he is a legend of Cardiff, Wales, mucking it up in Wales from 2004 to 2018, lacing up for our Devils 348 times. He also is a two-time Challenge Cup champion, once with yours truly, and we promptly got the Devils banned from that hotel. He is also a playoff champion, and for fun, a two-time league champion. But folks, he won one of those as a player coach, then went behind the bench and became a playoff champion. He was behind the bench for Wally night and spray painted my canvas, and was en route to win the league title that season, again, before the baloney shut it down. So he finally dove into curing cancer full time. Welcome back to the shed, Dr. Luke Piggott.
You're getting better at those intros, that's for sure.
A little looser now, It's like getting called up, a little timid at the start, that episode 1.
So 400 deep now. I would hope that you practiced it a little bit more in the meantime.
I've been practicing my shed since episode 1.
Bit of shed practice never hurt anyone.
But you were the first episode, and I am still having just as much fun as that day. And I still remember that day because I was so nervous about actually putting myself out there. Now I don't give a shit what anybody thinks.
Say whatever the hell you like.
I can. And nobody seems to be upset with me yet. But
It's like that Ricky Gervais sketch where he says about Twitter, if you don't like it, don't watch or listen.
right, and that's how I feel. But yeah, that day, that was what, January 2021. And what's cool for me is I did this to see my friends, and now I get to see again.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to just do a podcast to see me again. There's
That's
these things called airplanes that you can get on too.
I heard those cost a lot of money to see all your friends. Can't get on 400 airplanes, pigs.
Just rent one. You can get 400 people on one and invite them all to your house.
You know what, though? I've seen where you are and how tight we are, Luke. I do need to find a way to get there. But I also have to find a way to get my kids to Cardiff, Germany. There's a lot of things I got to do.
You got to get people places. Although we should do a podcast. If you remember, the Devils came over and played Lausanne in the Challenge Cup that year, and we did toy with the idea of doing a podcast from the top of one of the mountains over here. Now, taking it location.
I would love to. I think
there's
fun
lots of
is fun.
sheds on the mountains here.
I've been on a shed in a mountain with you before.
And imagine you recorded that.
You imagine? Yeah. If I had a big fancy video team, maybe they would have videoed us getting down the mountain that night.
I went ahead and actually I've got 2 of those sources myself now because they're so much fun. So
really, have you gone down a mountain like that on a little red saucer like I did?
It was a little bit less distance than what you did, but similar.
It sure was fun.
It's always fun.
It really is. So you are in Switzerland, and I've seen some pictures of where you're living when I get creepy. Looks like quite the spot, huh?
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing spot to live. We're lucky we get to live on the right on the lake here. So
what
in
lake
the summer,
is it?
Lake Geneva.
Geneva, there we go. You got to tell the people, we're a worldwide shed around here.
Well, in French it's Lac Le Mans. So that's the actual real name. The Genevans like to try and call it after themselves, but from when you're from Lausanne, you call it Lac Le Mans. And you get the benefit of that in the summer, and then you get the benefit of being just 1 hour away from the mountains in the winter when we can go and, ride ski slopes on sources and actually just ski too.
Well, and I saw I missed your wedding day, but you guys skied down the mountain right after. You were in your tux and she was in her wedding dress, eh? That looked neat.
Yeah, that was a little bit different. There was a discussion around whether we had the wedding at one of the vineyards right here on the lake, but then it was, what's one of the main things that we do together? And that is we spend a lot of time skiing. So we decided to do a ski wedding, dragged everyone's ass up the mountain. It dumped with snow on the actual wedding day. to the point where we had planned to get married at the top of a mountain on a big deck, but it was completely covered in like 2, 3 foot of snow that people couldn't basically get out of the hotel. So we had to change all the plans on the wedding day and had it at the hotel. And then we had an après ski party at a shed up the mountain, as you would have appreciated,
I would.
on the following day.
Well, you got to adjust when things don't go your way in the game, right? Sounds like you did.
Yeah, got to play it by beer.
So I saw her beautiful wedding dress and the thing you call it, the train or whatever behind it, like going down the mountain. I'm like, wow, that's neat. So were you wearing the same tuxedo outfit that you wore with me in Morzine?
That was I classed it up a little bit more since then.
Oh, you wore a real
The
tux?
morph, I wore a real tux rather than a morph suit. I wore a green sort of velvet jacket with black trousers and bow tie. Yeah,
So that's
a little classier in my old age.
right. I don't know. You looked pretty good the day we went up there and I was Venom and you were dressed in your tux morph suit.
The benefit of that was no one could see our faces or know who we were. And by the way, I went back there just in March to Avoria for a ski festival. And I was picking out all of the bars. I was like, oh, yeah, that's where me and Wally sat for like 3 hours drinking wine with random strangers after all the boys went off to go skiing.
Yeah, we did
And
ski.
yeah, I hung out with the cripple instead.
Yeah, that was very kind of you, Pigs. That's how you become the inaugural shed guy. When you go on a ski trip, you show up a day late and you know I can't ski, and you just say, you know what, Wally, I'm with you. Everybody else went up the mountain, left me there by myself.
What was not to love? We were in the hot tub all day one day, up the mountain all day the next day. We had
And
a
then
great time.
when we were in our skin tight suits there, and then we had been up meeting people on the balconies and having fun, and then the boys met us up there and we had fun, and then we did take the thingamajiggy back down the mountain in our suits and got on that bus, right? The
Put
folks
on a
loved
show.
us. We had our masks on, right? We had the tops on the heads, right? They didn't see
We
who
had
we were. They
everything
thought we
on.
were actually Venom, right? They thought I was actually
That
like
must
the bad Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think that they took one look at your body and was like, that must be him, right? Same body type as Ed Hardy or whatever, whoever played him, right?
Yeah, well,
Tom Hardy. Tom
the,
Hardy, that's who played him.
when we jumped off the bus when we got to our place and the whole bus gave us a standing ovation, I was pretty pumped. Yeah, we played hard that day.
And actually, Pepe, you remember Deuce and Huddy's friend Pepe?
Of course, how could I
He
forget Pepe?
he owns the bar at the bottom of the cable car now, so he runs an entire bar down there.
Huddy
Because
told me that.
Matthew Myers was playing there last year, so we skied a lot over in Port du Soleil, which is the same resort. We'd ski over there and just hang out with Pepe, and he'd give us cheap drinks.
Well,
Guy's a legend.
he is a legend. That was really
That's who you
fun.
should get on the podcast.
I should get Pepe on the podcast. That was a heck of a way to end a career, that skiing trip. That was my last hurrah. And then we got on a plane when I got back from that and hightailed her back to Canada forever.
Probably good to create some distance.
I guess not forever though, because I kind of start with how we know each other. I'm sure we've talked about this before, but you know what, folks? I don't care. We went to Matthew Myers' testimonial, and he was just named their assistant coach, and he was just playing in Morzine. So what a small world, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Shed guy's taking over the game.
Yeah, guys. I mean, I think he was just he's trying his best to mimic my career, taking over the assistant coaching job at Cardiff.
Well, if he was going to be done playing, I can't think of a better guy. He was going back to Cardiff, and he knows the game, and he knows the ins and outs, and I think that's a great addition.
No, for sure. No, he did he helped out because obviously I went over to Morzine and watched him play quite a few times last season, and he helped a lot with the coaching over there last year too. I think he got a bit of the bug from doing a bit of helping on the coaching in the French league last year, and that's as you get older, you got to start thinking about what's next. And he really enjoyed the coaching and wanted to give it a go. But what a great place to start with the GB head coach as your mentor as well.
No kidding. What a way to start. I also have got the coaching bug. Bit me real hard, like real hard. I'm all messed up now. I love it. Every year I get a new team, and I've seen them come together as a team 3 years in a row. And it reminds me of the 14-15 Devils. And then when you see them become brothers or sisters for life, and it's heartwarming stuff. And I'm sure I've told people before, I'm not sure if everybody's heard, but the Carden Canucks are the All Ontario champions.
Well, and even though they're not old enough to drink beers to bond with each other, when they turn 18, they will drink beers and bond even more.
Yeah.
And then that's when you also promised me at Colby's 18th birthday, you're going to have a big party at your house, and I'm invited.
Oh, you're always invited here. And I'm sure Colby will wait until it's legal here when he's 19, but I'm sure all the fellows on my team
What's
will.
19?
Yeah, it was pretty neat winning, and it's weird, right? Like the coaching thing, it's like when you lose your last game of the year, you win your last game of the year. It's such a different taste in your mouth. And winning that last game of the year, man, I'm about as wound up as I can get.
Did
Like
you
winning
get
with
banned
your
from any
son
hotels?
is we didn't get kicked out of a hotel this time. I celebrated maturely.
Sure.
I'm all grown up now, pigs.
I believe it.
Yeah, but winning with your son and then seeing him become like brothers with all the boys from his hometown is well, it's magical stuff, you know? So
Yeah,
may as well do it again next year is what I'm thinking, you know?
might as well. And the year after that.
But testimonials, we've been to a couple of them together. They're something, aren't they?
I love the testimonials. It's actually the only times I've played hockey since I retired from playing is in testimonial games. And they're the
I
best because,
understand.
yeah, they're the best because you get to hang out with all your old buddies that you used to play hockey with. I know you didn't make, did you come back? You didn't come back from Batchies.
I sure did. Come on.
Oh,
Was
you
I
were at Batchies.
I guess I wasn't that memorable, eh? Just got chocolate thrown on the ice for my under nine gals after it was all over and got to bring home
Oh,
chocolate for my
yeah.
girls. Was I
Oh, that's
there?
right.
Was I
But
there, Piglet? Whatever.
I remember, and that was an all-star cast.
Oh
There's a lot
man,
of
was
memorable
it ever?
people in that. You had Folks, Blighter, Tyson came back for it. Like you had
Jards, Dicko.
Jards, Jards with the last minute, plane flight over, and then was going to stay in my apartment because he had nowhere to live afterwards.
Benty,
But
Hoth. It was quite the weekend, man. What an all-star cast. And then the George brothers, they still got it.
I don't think they'll ever lose it either.
No. Once you got it, you do in fact got it.
Yeah, they're forever in the pocket.
Um, they are, and they are the great people to have around a game, right?
That's exactly what you need in every team. You got to have those cheerleaders who keep everyone positive and make sure the good times keep rolling.
I totally agree. Sorry, what were we talking about? Bad, real world. What are you gonna do, eh? So, testimonials, batchies, that's what we were talking about. And I tell you, we talk about once you got it, you got it. Those boys that weekend all came to play. And it's amazing the people Batchy brought back. And I had just met him at like Wally night and done like the podcast with him, but like I could totally tell who Jards was before I met him in person. And Benty, I'd known him a little bit, but never really hung out like the full deal sit down for a weekend. And it's pretty obvious why the Devils kept winning after I left is because they had absolute dandies. You
It's
win with
always been the
dandies,
ethos.
you can't have all those robots that are, just robots. You need some personality on a team, don't you?
Yeah, and we always had that through since the particularly since the new ownership and Todd took over, obviously the management of the team. I think that was the main ethos of how we're going to build successful teams. Make sure that everyone has fun at the office every day because it's not a
And
real
it's
office.
the type of people they were trying to recruit, right?
Exactly, that's what I mean. Yeah, so they're trying to bring these guys in to make sure that we had that sort of bond within the team, and yeah, you can see that it works.
And the testimonials are so cool because it takes you back in time and it takes all of us back in time. And It's so cool when a former teammate asks you to be there. And I just went back to Western Michigan for the first time in 18 years and was invited back by three old former teammates that I hadn't seen in forever. And as soon as you're back, it's like, holy moly, I'm back. Like it's just like it used to be, and we're just like we used to be. And I'm like, what have I been? And that's like, man, I can't go everywhere. It's like when you're a suitcase and nobody wants you back, you can't go visit everywhere when you're done.
You can try.
I can try, but then you guys move all over the place and you go to Switzerland. It's like, man, I'm just gonna stay in my shed and call people.
It's a way cooler place.
It's pretty cool in here. Like when you think back to the first episode, Piglet, and I didn't know what I was doing, and all I had was a logo, and then we just did a Zoom call, and then you see the wall of shed guys behind me, and then I got all my hockey stuff back out and the jerseys, and it's like, wow, it's pretty neat what's gone on, you know?
Tidy looking shed, I gotta be honest. It looks like it's had some upgrades since episode one, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's a little more stuff on the cupboards. Yeah, it's weird when you get back from the game and you kind of hate it, like you actually hate it, resent it, and all your hockey stuff stays in boxes until you talk to your friends, and then you're like, maybe I'm not such a
Bit better.
failure. Uh, but
Maybe I didn't waste my life.
so we'll get into your real world now soon, but another way we know each other, other than testimonials and your buddies bringing you back, was the Devils brought me back for Wally night, and you were a coach then. And I found it weird, right? Because it's like in the real world with the people I've come up with for the last 9 years now, like we're supervisors and friends, and we've all been doing it together. It's like then I go back to the Devils, and my buddies are the coaches, right? You and Lordo, and we're in the coaches room before that game. It was just it was such a hockey moment. I was standing there spray painted with the Devils the glow or what's it? Taz's head, and then you had spray painted me with the devil and the 88 goat on the back, and we're just standing there. I'm naked, and you guys are talking about the game and getting ready.
We
It
had
was
to
so funny.
we had to strap those red tassels on your arms too, if you remember.
Yeah, so I was like the ultimate warrior, but a devil's form.
Yeah. Devil's Ultimate Warrior.
Were you the
Ultimate Warrior.
videographer of that pregame speech? Because I do have a video of it.
Yes, I was the videographer of that.
You
I have all the
creepo. You were
videos.
the painter and the videographer. You must like it.
Someone had to document it because it was only me and you in that back office, if you remember. Lordo had his headphones on and was focused on the game,
Yeah.
and we were doing important stuff in the
You
whilst he was doing
Googled
that.
you Googled a devil. Then you
Rebel stuff.
spray painted me with the it wasn't paint you're supposed to paint yourself with, was it?
No, because that stayed on for a few days.
Yeah, it did. We had to get paint thinner on it to get it off.
That's not good
Um,
for your skin.
it really stung actually. Didn't feel that good, but have never been that good of taking care of my temple there, Piglet.
Never hurts to shave a few pounds off, even if they are just skin cells.
But when you did get into coaching, did you get bit by the coaching bug?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. It was a way of they actually the way it all came about in the original days was actually the league changed the rules on the number of Brit players who were able to ice in what. Well, they didn't actually ever change the rules that there was a limit on the Brit players. It was the number of imports rose. Now, obviously, the imports you can bring in a better player than you can a Brit, such as myself. So that bumped me into sort of the gray zone of playing. But Lordo wanted to keep me as a part of the team, and he was, he had me as a spare forward that season, but then asked me if I'd get involved in the coaching with him and give him a little helping hand. And I mean, I think that first season I did end up playing a lot of games because we had injury problems like throughout the whole season. But then the following season, it was everything went well, so he was like, okay, let's do this full time. And that season, we had less problems with injuries. I didn't play so much, and yeah, we had a blast. I mean, Lordo will tell you he'll be the first one. He has a unique style of coaching. He's a little intense sometimes, but
Mhm.
we found a balance that worked out well for us, and had a lot of success with it.
Um, yeah, and you can be intense, but you also have to be conscious of what you're like. And he is conscious that he is intense because my pregame speeches started because I said, well, I want to help. I can help with something. And you and Deese's pregame speech is like, you got enough going on. I can do that with Deese. And then he's like, you know what? I am a lot for the fellas, and they do need a good laugh before they go out. He's like, yeah, you go for it. And that's how it all started was he knew he was intense, but then when you're going out to play hockey, you got to remember it's fun. And that's what, that's what we're trying to do.
Got to loosen up a little bit with a bit of naked dancing or whatever.
Dancing,
Dress
I
up.
would never dance before a game. This was serious. You dance after the game.
The Warhammer.
I was in character.
Do you still have the Thor hammer?
Yeah, it's right here.
Keep it
I
quietly tucked in your
actually,
chest.
I keep all my cool hockey stuff up there, like whatever, winning stuff. And this should totally be up there. This is going up there.
I bought that for Colton for his birthday.
Yeah, and then it became a became a Cardiff Devils prop legend. Still thunders and lightnings. The
It's
batteries are still good.
a little smashed up, but it's still going.
Do you remember when I beat the wheels off a Deese with it in Sheffield?
Yeah, that was necessary. Deese needed a good beating every now and then.
Well, he does. He still needs it. Hmm? You know, but
Got to put him in his place.
but yeah, I think when we were on the Devils there, that 14, 15, 15, 16 seasons, I would say that's about as hard as people can play hockey. And I mean, like on the ice, and like I don't think people play as hard anymore off the ice either.
No, I think the game has changed. I mean, I obviously I'm not around it so much, but even in the last year or so that I was involved in the hockey, it was a different sort of approach, atmosphere, everything else. But so I think we should think ourselves a little bit lucky in the sense that we got to play in the golden age. You know,
Right.
when
When
it
hockey was
was it
hockey.
was when hockey was hockey, it was still a little bit frowned upon what we were doing off the ice, but at the
But
same time, it was
it's
kind of
not
like,
like we
well,
were drinking the night before a game or like 2 days
no.
before a game. It was like when it was a green light, it's like we're all going out together. And I think, to be honest with you, I don't think the game should have changed as much as it has. And if I had a team, I would let the boys go after 2 nights on a weekend. I'd say, you guys need to go out and be a team. And I don't want to hear about if you don't go out. It's like, I don't care if you don't drink. I don't care if you need to take your protein shake to the bar, but you're going with everybody.
Take your protein shake.
That's
Be
how I'd
impressive with the
coach.
dog.
And we're going to be a team. But if you don't go out together, I don't see how you get the bonds for life.
You don't get podcasts where you have 401 visitors, that's for sure.
I worked hard and I played hard, Pigs.
Stuck with the playing hard after you retired.
But I didn't go to the bar hardly ever in Cardiff. I mean, I hardly knew what Chippy Lane was. It was like this myth because I was in school. I had the young kids. I was more of take the boys to the playground with my kids type of a guy, you know?
With 6 beers in the pushchair.
3 for me, 3 for you.
Yeah, yeah. Those were some good walks that we had.
They were. And I tried to do that with all my teammates. You came, Carl came, Salts came. I had Collie would come, Haddadi. I had lots of guys that would come to playgrounds with me, Real bonding
Yeah,
experience taking kids to playgrounds.
exercising too with a walk and all that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they wouldn't sit in Eli Jenkins with me, so we had to go to the playground.
Got to keep them active.
um, so I had a random question.
Okay.
What's your favorite hockey memory?
Favorite hockey memory is so there's I think I've got two. So number one was the first year that I played for the Devils. So this is pre your days, obviously. This was when G was the coach with Franny, and the Devils had been sort of rampaged by injury that year, and they needed to call some players up from the ENL team, which is where I was playing at the time, and for whatever reason, I had done enough in the practices that I'd been with them and the games that I played in for them to want to keep me around. And that season, we made the playoff finals weekend, which back in those days was a big achievement for the team, given the budget and everything else that we had. and we played the league winners who had won the league by a mile that season, like way early, like 10 games in hand, and still finished champions. And we played Belfast in the semi-final before the final game. And I was on a line actually with Benny Davis and G, because we were still short on players. So we had G, who's normally a D man, playing forward on the third line with me and Benny. And Benny was a lowly 18-year-old at the time too, already ripping it up at the Devils. And I scored the game-tying goal against the Belfast Giants, which then took us to overtime, and we won. Kenton Smith scored the winning penalty shot, of all people, again a D-man. So it's just one of those nights where the rookies or the people who don't ever normally score
The
scored
unsung
the important
heroes.
goals. Yeah,
That's
and so that
cool.
one was very memorable. And I remember Richie skating down. I don't think I've ever seen anyone so excited other than Richie for me to score in that situation. He came from the blue line with his like he couldn't believe that this had just happened. So that was a fun celebration. And then the other one is the Challenge Cup win. Obviously, I mean that game was the redefining moment, I think, for the Cardiff Devils organization, where we've been a non-winning organization for like a decade, and it was like a stake in the ground of, okay, this team's back and now they're going to start winning stuff again. And that Challenge Cup win, I think, really defined the team and what it meant and everything else for the next sort of 5 years. So those
Once you
two are
get
my
that,
biggest memories.
I totally agree. And that winning that Challenge Cup, it's like once people get the taste of winning and then you have a core that has won. I found once I won and my issues really started, it's like losing hurts so much more. Like
Hmm.
losing hurts so much more once you know what winning is like.
Yeah, yeah, and winning feels that much better when you've lost for so long.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was very similar when I won in Bietigheim, and then man, I went years without playing in the playoffs, and then you make the playoffs, you're out first round, and then I finally won again in Denmark, like I think it was like 6 years later. So I'd had the knee injury, hadn't made playoffs, get put out first round the last year in Germany, and then it was like winning was so far away, and then you go to Denmark and actually do it again, and you're like, oh, I'm back. And then 2 days later they say kindly leave, and I'm like, oh shoot. It's fine. I got to go to Cardiff, right?
Worked out. Got
It
another
did.
trophy there. Yeah.
And it got me a shed, because if I would never gone there, none of this works.
No.
It's funny path, and it's like, well, you're living it. You can get really sour in the pro hockey game when teams ask you to leave, and then you realize that maybe the path was all meant to be.
Especially that first day when you rolled up on that bus into the big blue tent with the shipping containers out the back. I thought, "Ah, now I've made it." With the showers with mushrooms growing out of them in a hole in the ground.
I actually was like, okay, this is what we're doing. I'm like, well, let's do her. But yeah, it was interesting because Sunderyuski has like a little NHL barn and it's all new and nice. And then that's where you've been playing, you win the championship, and then you show up in Cardiff and you're going there for the NBA, and then you see the barn and you're like, whoa, whoa.
Especially if the wind's heavy that day, it looks like it might fall down.
But I honestly think it was one of it. It's could be up there for my favorite arenas I ever played in. When we got rolling that year, it was electric, and we'd be in the locker room before games, and it was wild.
No, it was bumping. I love that rink, and I still do. I mean, you could hear everything. You could, as you're getting ready to come out, for the fans are all stomping on the ground, and those were not thick ceilings, so you could really hear it going. When it was going, it was literally rocking,
Oh,
which
yes.
was
Yeah.
one of the best. And also, the size of the ice pad suited my game style a lot more than some of the other larger ones did.
Well, and people would think it's weird that I like playing on small ice, but it's like, well, I was playing kind of on 1.5 legs, and I was not fast anymore, and I grew up playing on small ice, and I didn't want to skate around that much anymore. I loved playing in the big blue tent. You took me to Sheffield, Nottingham, Belfast. It's like, holy moly, you guys have to practice on this ice too all week? Oh my God. I remember pregame
That's a lot
skating
of skating.
Belfast, and we're doing the four blues, and I'd get the puck like outside the blue line. I'm like, I still got to skate that far to shoot it on the net.
It's not just one step.
We got a game tonight. I'm gonna be exhausted. Uh, anyways, you know how we started talking again and why I thought of having you as episode 401 after your episode one, 400 episodes later, was because I was at the cottage last week. And you know, in your hockey career, you refrain from doing some things in the summer to not get injured. And then when your knee's all screwed up when you get home, you don't do anything for a couple years. And then you're like, you know what? I gotta live, whether it hurts or not. I gotta do stuff. And then I go to the cottage. I wakeboarded, I water skied, I did everything I could. I even did a belly flop into a little pool my nephews made on the beach. And the water skiing went really good until it didn't.
I saw that. The best part was when you bailed. That was
Yeah,
so good.
I have been sore since. My knee, my whole right side of my body, and I'm blaming my knee, but um, I thought I still had it. And those were kids' water skis. They were only meant for up to 135
Oh, here
pounds.
come the
I
excuses.
yeah, I'm blaming the water skis. Oh, jeepers. But you're
They were like
doing, so
semi-submersible,
you have a
maybe.
different summer sport than me.
Wake surfing.
It looked like, so that's safe. Like you're not gonna run into the back of the boat.
You ride up sometimes pretty close to the back of the boat, but I mean, as long as you don't go head first into the propellers, I'm pretty sure you're okay. I mean, you got to remember when you fall off, you haven't got the same forward momentum as the boat, so it moves away from you pretty quick.
Mm, is
That's
that
science for you,
is it
Wally.
is that physics?
Yeah, that's a science.
Folks, just so you know, I got my MBA.
No, you didn't. I wrote that for you.
I wrote it. You just rewrote it. When you sent it back to me, you were like, I think this sentence should be structured like this, and this sentence should be structured like that. And I was like, and this word doesn't need to be here, and that word doesn't need to be there. And I was like, whoa. But you know what's funny is I've taken that with me for life, what you taught me during that writing session there. I don't know how many words it was, like 10,000, but you went through the whole thing for me, and I tell you, that's a teammate. But the way you explained it to me made sense. And fun fact for you, Pigs, is now I'm like the proofreader guy for some of my buddies at work, and they send me what they're going to send out to everybody. And I'm like the proofreader guy, and I'm better at it now.
You're better. That's good.
I think
Well,
I'm
there you
better
go.
at
School is all
proofreading
part of
my
school.
friend's stuff than my own stuff. I
Than
don't know.
writing your own from scratch. It's
Yeah.
always easier to proofread.
Well, you were
And I
good
am
at
pretty
it. So thanks
sure.
for that, because now people think I'm smart.
And proofreader guy is definitely the technical term for it too.
Proofreader guy is like every team needs the guys, right? That does stuff.
everyone needs their PRG.
Like Dees was the spray painter guy, and when the spray painter guy is gone, then you step up. You're the spray painter guy.
I was the spray painter guy. Maybe it's a talent I should have followed up on. I mean, that thing really took off. The jersey design that the one fan came up when they were asking the fans that one year, like, okay, we're gonna let you design our fourth jersey. How the hell they didn't choose the Wally jersey is beyond me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
also, I remember
They,
sending
but
Todd a text and
I
saying, "Oh
understand.
no,
You
it was
have to do
Corky."
that.
I sent Corky a text and I was like, "I don't care how you do it. I want you to make me and Wally one of those jerseys each. Like, figure out how to do it." And we never
Do you
got
imagine
them.
if I had that up in the shed?
We got to get back on Corky for this.
But what's interesting about, well, you spray painting me and us Googling that picture that day is, well, that's tattooed on somebody's body.
That's real art. That's how you know you've created something real.
So that's art. If you spray paint my canvas and then it becomes a tattoo, that is art. It has muffin mitts, and that's from Hendo's son saying I throw muffins. And it's like, this is wild,
Hang that one in the Louvre.
right? Um, but also just this past season, so this is what, 5 years later, couple fellows, one of them just became a sponsor of the shed and is the swag maker. People at littlefoxdesign.online littlefoxdesign.online. They are making two L's and hockey tails swag now, and all I want to do is talk to people and stay out of sales and swag and just talk to people so that they're going to go take that on and put that on their website. You guys go give her, and I'll be here in my shed. And thank you so much for the support. But what a small world is that him and his boys in Block 13, where I got topless, 5 years later, go topless as Kelman and Cody Donaghy, both number 44s, which add up to 88. And then they get a picture with Todd. And it's like, whoa, the world's making a lot of sense these days.
88 the goat. There you go.
Right. But yes, you spray painting me that night has come to a lot of things. When I went over to Batchy's testimonial, um, my little shed guy had a white T-shirt with that spray painted on it, and we got a picture together there too.
That's what I mean. You're making history with that art. I love
Well,
it.
you did. You made it. It takes everybody to win. You spray painted the canvas.
It was a great canvas to work with. I think the best part was when I was like on my knees doing like the bit on your belly, and I can't remember who it was. I think it was Hubs came in the room because he came to collect the video stuff, and because of the angle of where you were stood and how I was like crouched down on my knees from his angle behind you, it looked like super like touchy as well. It's like my head just popped around and was like, "What's up, Hubs?" It's like, "What are you doing?"
When you're on your knees and I was standing there topless.
Yeah. And then just to make matters worse, Hubs came in, was all like freaked out about what
Who's
we were doing.
Hubs?
Hubs was the video guy that he did all of the clipping and stuff and sent it down to the bench in mid game,
Oh,
right? And then after that, he grabbed the laptop to take up to do the video, and he walked out the room, and you couldn't stop laughing, and your belly was just like jiggling whilst I'm trying to paint the devil's face on it. I'm like, can you stop like jiggling your belly whilst I'm trying to
when
get
we
this
both
right?
started laughing harder because my belly was jiggling when you were trying to paint me.
Yeah.
To think of where that art's gone and how it happened. I didn't know I was doing the pregame speech. I bring back for a Wally night. I'm like, I'm so grown up now. My kids are growing up. I got a real world job. I'm like, I can't imagine that they want me to do what I used to do. And then it's like just a little over an hour before we got to go to the game. And Lordo was like, "What do you mean you're not doing? You don't think you're doing the pregame speech? Why do you think we brought you over here? You have to do the pregame speech." Or Todd said that, one of them. And I was like, "Oh, so I am on. I have nothing prepared." And then I called you on the shitter, and I was getting ready to go to the game, and you're the assistant coach, and I call you. I'm like, "Pigs, this is what I need. I need red paint. I need Taz's head." I'm like, it's going to be busy for me when I get to the rink. And then during warm up, I go around again the coach's room, and all the red paint we had was stuff to spray
Lined
paint
up,
the lines. That
ready
stuff's
to go.
sticky.
Yeah.
And now it's on tattooed on people's bodies. Kids are wearing it. We're for all ages,
Yeah, it's very family friendly painting.
right? I thought so.
Yeah, I could have
Uh,
done worse.
so have you cured cancer yet?
But no, but as I think I probably said before, I don't think that there ever is the cure for all cancers. I mean, essentially, all we're trying to do is treat it to a point where it's no longer the disease that kills you, and you can die of old age instead. Which is a bit of a grim way of looking at it, but it's the reality. But we've had some good treatment advances, and we're making some solid progress on my current program that I work on right now, which we're in 6 different clinical trials across 4 different tumor types. So there's a lot of stuff going on with the drug, and it's showing some really promising results. And we're making good progress, and hopefully at some point soon we'll be able to ramp it up even further and get it approved so that we can get it to all the patients.
So you make this thing that's supposed to help. Okay. I'm just dumbing it down for a guy like me. So you make the thing, and then how often do you tinker with it while you're doing testing trials?
You don't tinker with the drug after you nominate the drug, because we have a whole series of them, and we test all of the different ones that are going to hit our target. And then you choose the one that's the best. So it's got the best drug-like properties because it's got to circulate in your blood for a certain period of time. It's got to get into the tumor selectively over and above the normal tissue. It's got to hit just your target and not anything else off target. So you choose your best drug. And then the bit that is then still now my responsibility is deciding which patients do we put it in. So can we identify a biomarker which then tells you these patients with this specific mutation or this specific expression, they will be the ones that are going to respond to this drug. And then we also think about which combinations, so what other drugs that are already used can we do in combination with to make them better too. And then you think about the various different cancers, and we have to think about what schedules. Do we give it every day, every other 3 days, 4 days, and so on and so forth. So you just then mostly tinkering about what combinations you do, how you're giving it, and who you're giving it to is kind of what my job becomes then.
Right. And is that where you're jumping in the thing now? Because back when
That's
you were in
yes.
school, you were like making the start of it, and now you're more at that stage.
Yeah, so that's all I'm doing all of that work now. Whereas before, when I was in Cardiff University, it was really just identifying the targets, never really making the drugs quite so much, but trying to identify the targets that we could then hit with the drugs. And now I develop the drugs and decide where we put them and how we treat patients with them.
So I guess when you're talking about choosing the drug, and you're like, and you got to choose the one that gets there the fastest, the one that does it right. It's I owe everything I do in the real world, I relate to hockey, and it's kind of like having a draft. It's like, so you have done this and you've done that, and it's like, well, you're the best player.
Yeah, we're looking for the Sid the Kid,
Right. The first overall pick.
the
And
first
then it's
overall
like,
pick.
so then it gets into coaching. You're like, so how do I use this first overall pick? Do I gotta
Yeah, which
do I gotta bark
which
at him?
line?
You gotta make him exercise? Do you gotta make him go out with the boys? What do you gotta do to make this guy go?
Yeah, which line do I put him on? Do I put him in the power play? What's the combination of players I use?
Yeah.
Is this the best team to put him on, or should I put him on a different team in a different league? All these
Yeah.
things.
Who are his line mates?
Yeah,
Is Matthew Myers gonna stand in the front of the net for him, or is nobody gonna stand in front of the net and then every shot is just a warm-up shot?
yeah.
I understand.
These these are the things you got to think about.
Well, coaching is fun, and it's fun thinking about those things, you know? The coaching kids really brought me back into this whole hockey thing.
Yeah. No, it keeps you involved, keeps you thinking, keeps your brain active, Wally. You don't
Brain
want it
active.
deteriorating from all those belly flops you're doing into the pools.
My brain has never been so active. I got a lot of stuff going on. Didn't know it could work this hard.
Now you know.
So how is Lois doing? Haven't seen her in a while.
Good. No, she's good. She's just opened her own business, so she's
What's she up to?
teaching
Oh,
English. So she's got her first school year starting in 2 weeks' time.
what's she
But yeah,
teaching?
she
English?
English.
What like for adults?
No, no, for kids. So it's
Right.
kids English language. Yeah. So obviously here the first language is French. Typically the second language they would learn is German, but there's a huge population of people who want their kids to learn English because of it being such an international language. However, they don't learn English in school until their teenage years. So Lois's school is set up so that they're actually pretty much fluent by the time that they even get to the school age that they start learning English.
Well, and that makes a lot of sense because, man, I saw kids go over to Germany that were like Canadians, and the kids would be fluent. Well, they'd be ahead of me in German. They'd be like a 4-year-old going to German school, and they would be so far ahead of me within 6 months. I'm like, this is ridiculous how fast a kid can learn.
Yeah, no, they absorb things like a sponge, but she has some specific teaching methods that she employs too to make it even more to go quicker and stick even more. So yeah, no, it's exciting times for her too.
That is.
And
Well, congratulations, Lois.
she will definitely listen to this podcast, I'm sure.
I'm sure she will because, I mean, her English teaching career is like a sponsor of the shed now, right? We just talked about it on here, free ads all the time.
But yeah, small talk English,
But I
that's
guess
all.
it's not her own business. She's a teacher.
It's her own business. She set it up from scratch.
Really?
Yeah, her own school. Yeah.
Her own school. So they do this outside of their normal school.
Yes, they do this outside of the normal school. Yeah.
What a great idea.
So
You smart
it's
people all hang out together, eh?
yeah, smart people helping smart people.
uh, I just knew how to use my team. And I knew who the smartest guy in the room was, Piglet, and I was just happy you were willing to help me.
I've never. It was the first time I'd read a dissertation just had pictures in it, photographs.
Whatever, man. I was just doing the best I could. I had never wrote one before. I had to learn, and then you taught me, and then we passed. I was like, me and Marshy were like two of the top in the whole MBA program. So,
I
haha,
know.
got to
I
use your
know.
team because me and Marshy sure helped each other.
I remember, and I think Marshy got a better grade than you, and I was like, "Wait, what the fuck?" Like, hang on,
Right?
I wrote
Because
this.
you were on
It's
my
like,
team,
yeah.
and then yeah, Marshy beat me, and I'm like, Pigs, man, what the? Because you only reviewed his like right at the end, and you thought we were gonna win, and then we didn't.
I mean,
But you were
I,
just a teammate, Piglet, because you reviewed his too, man. You put in some hours outside of being our teammate at the rink to make sure we were having fun and doing well in Cardiff.
yeah, I did. I remember reviewing Marshy's. We did a bit of work on that one too. But then Fawns the following year, who also just got married, by the way. But Fawns the following year, he came to me too, Salts as well,
I
and
started the pipeline.
he started the pipeline. Salts actually, I think, offered me 5 grand to just write the whole thing from scratch for him, and I was like, "Come on, man! Like, write it, and I'll help you." And then Fawns gave me his to review, and I gotta say, it was didn't correct a single thing. It was fantastic, and
And
I
he's
think he got like
French. You
90.
shut your filthy mouth when you're talking to me.
It was incredible, and he got like a 96 or something ridiculous. I was like, man, I got no comments. Like, this is really good, and it was. He got a really good grade.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, sometimes, when he's a native French speaker and he beats me at that, I'm not that competitive really.
No, he's a smart guy. Actually, Forns is a smart
You
guy.
can tell that, a lot of good hockey players are smart. I never realized that. I thought all we could do was play hockey, but the more we can talking around with shed guys, there's a lot of people doing exceptional stuff around the world. We can do more
Yeah,
than play hockey.
we can. And I mean, it teaches you all the skills to make it a success too. Hockey is transferable skills for sure.
Well, it is, and how hard they make you work, and then you're in it together. And if something happens to a teammate, you're there for them. Where
Yeah,
in the real world, there can be some people that maybe haven't played a lot of team sports that just don't understand that when they're complaining it's not in the job description, and I'm not doing this because it wasn't in the job description. It's like, are you serious? It's like, do whatever it takes, and then maybe people will like you and give you more opportunity.
yeah.
Just thinking out loud again in the shed, you know?
No, but that's definitely one of the life lessons you learn from such a thing as hockey, right? Is you do go beyond your job description every single game, and if you don't get the opportunities or you don't progress, and then it applies perfectly to the real world.
Well, and it's like Thomas Murdy in Cardiff when he's the backup goalie, and I think they got rid of the next equipment guy after Deese, and they don't have an equipment guy, and he's the backup goalie. He says, "Hey, I'll sharpen skates," and then all of a sudden that is his career and his passion and what he's doing now. And I hear he's one of the best around, and that was a guy stepping up saying, "I'll help the team any way I can," and then it becomes his career.
Yeah. No, I remember that actually because I took over from the guy, Will, the old guy, because he didn't know how to sharpen skates, the equipment manager after Dees. And so I was doing the equipment and he was doing like the cleaning and the washing of the laundry and all that stuff. And I got talking to Merds because I was living with him at the time. And I was like, if you're interested, this might be a good gig for you. And he loves it. He
Yeah.
absolutely loves it.
Well, and they got their whole community of kit guys or equipment guys, whatever you want to call it, and with I still gotta have Merds in the shed, man. When I went over there, he made me one of his wallets from Lucky Foot Leather, and I got it up there with all my stuff that we've collected over the 400 episodes. And it is so cool, a little leather wallet, and it has Wally 18 on it. Like, what a dude. That's a
I've got
teammate.
the
I
wallet.
never even played with
I've,
him.
yeah, but bonds. I got the wallet. I got the passport holder. I got the keychains. I got everything from the luckyfootleather.com. .co.uk.
Free ads, folks, every time. If you're a shed guy.
If you're a shed guy, free
Yeah.
ads.
Actually, earlier today, I had this thing reach out to me a couple weeks ago, and they wanted to talk to me for 30 minutes to pitch a proposal. They want to like have me read ads on here and then slightly get compensated. It wouldn't be much, but it'd be a thing. And I just said, I don't want this to change why I do this. I didn't start this to make money. I don't want to change anything at all. And they said, all you got to do is read 30 seconds each episode in the middle of it, and we're good. And I'm like, that doesn't seem that hard.
Feel like you could do that.
But that would be neat if I ended up making a few pennies. It wouldn't be much, but it would be pretty neat to like make money talking to my friends.
Never heard. There couldn't be a better way to earn money just talking to your friends in the shed.
A boy can dream, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, anywho. Let's see here. You got any questions for me since we haven't seen each other in a while? Nobody ever does. I know it's cool.
No one ever has questions for you.
No. I have a question for you. Are you still playing you only play
Know
hockey
most of
at
your stuff
Testo?
because I hear you on the.
Are you listening?
Yeah.
Good.
What did you say?
I was gonna say you told me you're not playing hockey anymore, but it looks like you got high stuck.
High stuck. Oh, here?
Yeah.
No, that's a scar from when I did get high stuck back in the day. It's just got worse over time.
Really? I wasn't around for that one. I'd remember that, would I? Or is just hair's not growing there?
Hair doesn't grow there. So it's because I didn't have a beard when we were playing together.
That's why. It was the same. I got you.
So the scar's always been there, but it didn't really show until I started growing a beard, and now I have this stupid line across my face all the time.
I got you. Now I understand it because I was looking at him like, man, he says he doesn't play hockey, but it looks like he just got throttled.
No, there's just a really random little patch of hair in the middle.
Now I got you. You know what I'm
But
trying to
the
do
funny
though?
thing with that one was,
Go for it.
I'll tell you this first, is I got the original cut was I got a puck in the face when it cut like horizontally, like in parallel to my lip. And then I got it all stitched up and it was fine. And then I think it was maybe a month later. So it just healed. It was all good. It was, didn't have to put anything over the top of it or anything like that. And a month later, I got a stick in the exact same spot and it split horizontally too. So I got like this plus like cross because it like then fully ripped my lip as well. So it was like all the way through. So they had to stitch the whole lip back together. And now I got this permanent scar in my
In your
somewhat
mustache.
in my mustache.
You know what? That brought back a different memory for me was it would have been the Hull Arena, maybe. I'm picturing this. Something cut on me. And well, I don't think we had a team doctor on the road, but we got some stereo strips or whatever they're called. And you were my doctor after the game. You were quite the teammate. You'd do anything. Do you remember that?
I do. I mean,
Do you remember what I cut?
I think it was something on.
Is it my face?
It was something on your face. I can't remember where, but like nothing.
I just
dangerous.
remember you getting the stuff, and you're like, oh, "I don't think you'll need stitches if we do this," and then you're taping me all up. I'm like, "This is so funny that this is my teammate doing this to me, and he's a doctor."
Well, we had. I mean, if you remember, Salt's first year, he broke his toe, and he was playing with that broken toe for like the last 3 months of the season. And before every game, I had to inject him with anesthetic to do a digital block to stop the pain from his toe, so he could get his damn skate on. And the best time was when we were up in Edinburgh because those dressing rooms were tiny and we had like 3 or 4 guys out in the hallway getting dressed. And the fans would just walk right by you, if you remember. And I'm out there pregame injecting his toe with this
with fans walking
anesthetic.
by.
And fans are walking by like, what the hell is this guy doing? And I also had
His
that when
teammates got
we
a needle out putting it his toe before the game. That's a weird routine.
and it was because the opposition team doctors would always refuse to do it. And I was like, I'll do it. Don't worry. And then we had Bouncy. I can't remember which game it was. I think it was the year that we won the league in Sheffield. He'd hurt his ankle real bad the previous game, and he was touch and go whether he was going to be able to play. And so again, we didn't have a doctor on the road, and so basically, I was there to inject his anesthetic and do the nerve block on his ankle so that he could play the game. And we went out and won the league that night, I think. And I remember Urge just like squeezing his hand, like, come on, you can do this, whilst I'm injecting his ankle with anesthetic.
Oh, but it does take everybody to win, and that's the stuff I love is when everybody's willing to play their part. And if you know you can do something, do it for the team. It's like I talk about the job description thing. It's like, well, it's not the job description, but if it's going to help the team, let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
If I have to get naked and dress as Thor with my big hammer, that's right here.
Not the hammer you were thinking of.
Then I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna put it right in Richie's face. And say, are you ready to play today? But when you brought up that moment of scoring that big goal, and you remember Richie skating at you, and like the look in his face is one of my favorite. What I notice of who I want to have on the shed if they're somebody I don't know is hockey pictures, and when their teammates score, how excited they are for them when they're skating towards them, how excited they are for their teammate that they scored. Because there's some guys in pro hockey that if they didn't get a goal or assist on the play, they're really not that happy that someone else did it. And when I see what, in my opinion, what a shed guy is when their teammate scores, they are as happy as when they score. And that is who Richie is. And that's who a lot of Cardiff Devils were.
Yeah. No, you'd be happy. I mean, I guess I didn't score a lot of goals in my career, so you got to be happy for a guy when he gets the one goal he gets every season.
Yeah, it's true, but like you got to be happy for right? Like I remember you when we had 3 lines and you were the extra forward, you and Jonesy really. But when we scored, you were as happy as everybody else, and it was like this under 13 team I had this year. We invited our AP goalie because we only had one goalie. So we invite him for the weekend to the All Ontario. So we have a backup in case something happens. And he knew he wasn't going to play. He came for the weekend and was the best teammate ever. And when we scored, he celebrated like everybody else, and he was a part of it. And we needed him there. And then he got to win All Ontario. He got to be there for the whole thing and experience it. And we needed him there. And the teammate he was, I was so proud of him. You need those
That's
guys.
what a real team is.
I agree. Okay, what I was going to bring up though is, what I'm trying to do is I'm hoping some Devils fans haven't forgot about you. You are legendary, assistant coach, player assistant coach, winning championships, doing whatever it takes for the boys. Their home league opener, whenever that is against whoever it is. I want 1,005 Twix thrown on the ice. It has to happen. You can't let the Blue Foxes of Herning beat you again. They beat you last year, and they threw 1,004 on the ice when Mac left Cardiff and went there. And then he is on some shutout record. They went to Germany and bought all these boxes of Twix and then made a YouTube video. They were shouting me out, having Mac's agent in for like interviews about how did this happen? How did this start? And then they were talking about my podcast. And then all of a sudden I'm ranked #1 in Denmark. And I don't think we can let them beat the Cardiff Devils. I mean, I really don't. I think if we're going to win a league championship this year, if the boys are going to go out there and do that, I think the new guys, the previous guys, that the chocolate hasn't really been flowing. It's like, what if that first game of the season, we're like, hey, boys, hockey's fun. Watch this. we're throwing more than 1,004 Twix on the ice for Mac and the fellas and Bouncy, all of them. Have your Twix, have a day, and then muck it up on Chippy Lane when you're done. And then all the Twix that are left will donate to wherever you donate chocolate to, right?
Yeah, to the I don't even know where you donate Twixes to, but you can give them away, I'm sure.
I'm sure kids would like them too, right?
Yeah. Especially ice cold ones. So, 1,005 of them would be great.
If it's less than that, we lose.
That's a big ask, but I'm pretty sure the Devils fans can deliver.
I think they can. They have
They love a
before for
challenge.
my under 11 a couple years ago, the Buenos for the boys. They made that happen for me and warmed my heart from over here in the shed that you can be out of the game for that long and talk to your friends. And then they'll do that for my boys that came to the shed and they made it rain that night. And it's a day I'll never forget. And if we do get over 1,004 and win again, then I get to feel like a champion again. And, that's all I want. I just need a
Well,
thousand and
maybe
five, okay? I already got the record with 1,004 with Mac, but you know what? We're on a new team now, and we got to win again.
Mac's on the team too again, so you got to get 1,005
We're
out there
back
for a
home,
guy. Let him know where real home is.
right? But I mean, I think Mac always wanted to go back and wanted to go back with the right situation, and it was different guy in charge when he was first there. And I think it's the right time, and him and Bouncy are both at the age where they're both ready to let each other play, and they're both competitors and want the net. And I think with the team they've signed, they're going to be a wagon. Do you still pay attention to what's going on around there?
Oh yeah. No, I seen the team that they've signed. It looks like top grade to me.
Yeah, I
I,
agree.
I feel like they've got a real good opportunity to win everything this year. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. But I'm expecting 3 trophies from them. That's for
Well,
sure.
I mean, either win or you lose, right? But that Sheffield team will be a handful again. They got some dandies on there too that I've met.
Yeah, no, they're going to be a tough team every year. So are Belfast, but I think that's
That's what makes it fun to
they,
win is when it's hard, right?
yeah, you don't want to walk the league. That's boring.
I said that to my boys before the final game because we had beat the team we were playing in the finals in the round robin pretty handily, somewhat, like 6-3. And I didn't want that getting in their head. But before the game, I said to them, I'm like, winning is never easy. I'm like, if you think this is going to be easy when we go out there in a 1-game final, I'm like, they're going to bring everything they got. They're going to bring everything, and it's not going to be easy. I'm like, but you know what? I know exactly who I have in this fucking room, and I say, bring the fucking noise.
With your Thor hand.
I didn't bring the Thor hammer out.
Head to PG-13.
Gotta know your crowd, pigs.
Not all methods work for all age groups.
No, or no, you can't do that. Other thing we got to bring up though is one of our boys, Mr. Trevor Hendricks, who is so busy. He's so busy. I've asked him numerous times to come to the shed, and he's just so busy. And I understand you got 2 kids, a job, but he's starting a hockey team, the
I
Cardiff
know.
Canucks.
I know. I talked about it. I was like, you need a head coach over there? Maybe I could help out.
It looks like it's going to be fun. And Hendo's making a comeback and going to play. And then I just saw right before we came on that they signed Max Beerbrier, shed guy.
Good
They're
guy.
bringing back some legends. They might get some fans. He might be onto something
Maybe
here.
maybe there's a job for me and you in there too. Bring them all back.
If they'll fly me over for a match, I'll play, but I can't make it through a season. I got my own team to coach, pigs. I got a championship
Yeah,
to win.
sorry.
Last season's over. It's time to move on, right? But it's sure been fun. I might just sprinkle in one more reunion before next season starts to see all the boys before we are all on different teams next season.
Never hurts.
It's weird around here because it's 2 age groups together, so I only have 3 returning players. So it's a whole different squad. Whole different squad of parents, families, siblings, the whole deal.
Got to bond again.
We're gonna have to if you
Mm.
want to win, right?
That's how you win.
Um, why did you wear number 21?
Good question. Actually, 21, I switched to. So for a very long time, I was number 18 through when I was a kid.
What's that
And
now?
then
That's my number. Well,
yeah,
I
I
guess
know.
10 used to be.
Yeah,
But now
but
18's
I
my
can't
number.
remember. I can't even remember where 18 came from either when I was a really young kid. But I liked the number, and I stuck with 18 for a long time. And then when I reached Cardiff, actually, when I moved to Cardiff, I can't remember who it was, but someone at my age group under 19s already had the number 18. So I switched to 21 again, just because I liked the number, and it's stuck ever since. And actually, up until what was his name, Brody,
Reed?
the one who spoke, Reed joined the team. It stayed untouched too for a long time, like 2, 3 years. So that was kind of cool. But now it's like another guy this year who's got 21 too. I'm
I
like, ah, come
know.
on.
I know. It's like another guy. What was neat for me about being 18 is I think Lane Ulmer wore it after me, but I haven't got to meet him yet, but I know he's a shed guy because Greg Schmidt, who I won with in Germany, went down to Mexico to visit him. And they sent me a picture of them two together. And then we were going to do the pod. And then we got busy and we're like parents and stuff. And then never made it happen. And then I keep forgetting to reach out again. But he wore 18. And then what I thought was cool was Samuel Jardine wore number 18. And we both, I guess some of the fans that have taken a shine to me have taken a shine to him. And it's pretty neat that we both wore number 18. And I couldn't ask for a better guy to have taken my number because that weekend at Batchy's getting to know him, it's like, dude, if anybody was going to wear my number around here, it's you.
So the funny, and again, the funny thing about that small world story is when I first moved to Switzerland after the COVID pandemic, like during the COVID pandemic, when the season was still looking like it was going to go ahead, Jards was signing to stay for another season, and he called me and said, "Pigs, I just want to ask for your permission. Can I wear number 21 next year?" Because that had always been his number before. And I was like, oh man, like I can't think of a big better guy to give my number 21 to. And we made a whole video for it, like a joke, a funny video that we put up that we were going to put out to the Cardiff Devils fans when they were announcing his signing. But then that season never ended up happening. And by the time he had come back, Brody Reed was already signed with the number 21. So he couldn't play in that number. So he must have just picked his two favorite guys, me and you, and went for our numbers because he thought, I want to be more like them.
Wow, he didn't know me yet, but he is one of my favorite guys, and I need to get him back to the shed because he's a
He knew
cool
he would know you.
he's a cool cat, you know?
Yeah, no, I love Jazz. Good guy.
He really is.
He's still my Wi-Fi password too in my phone because he used to hotspot from my phone all the time, and he kept asking me for my password, and I was like, "Can you just change it to something that you'll remember so you can stop asking me for my hotspot password?" And he changed it to Sam Jardine 21, and still to this day, my hotspot Wi-Fi password is that. I should change it now. I've just told all your podcast listeners, but still.
Well, what are you gonna do? You might hotspot you, folks.
If you're ever in Lausanne.
Um, so I know we got a tight window, right? Because we're busy and we have to do stuff.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Um,
stuff to do.
okay, here's a tough question for you. Ready? Who's the best player you played with? And who's the best player you coached?
So best player I played with. That's a tough one.
I know that. I should have put some deodorant on here, man. The insulation in the shed is really keeping it warm in the summer. I am smelling bad now.
Okay, there's no one else in there with you.
Mm-mm.
So best player would be a combination of, I would say, two players. So Scott Matska, one of them, just technically spot on all the time with everything that he did. Very calculated in everything that he did. Super strong on the puck, great shot, head up kind of guy. He was unreal, and he just made all the players on his line better. So that would be one of the guys who I think was one of the best that I played with. And then after him, I would say uh, Joey, the goat, just great defensive player, great net front, um, great in and around the net, great,
Half-wall
PK
guy, but
guy,
like
PK guy,
he does
everything.
he
He
does
do everything,
everything. He's got
everything.
I think in the hockey world they call it the intangibles.
Yeah, plays in every situation, and
And
is
you want him
solid
out
in all
there for
zones.
big face-offs, for start of a period, end of a period. Yeah.
Yeah, you always got to go with him. And then in terms of best player I coached, I would go Richie.
Hmm.
So Richie, me and Richie grew up playing hockey together. So we played on the same conference team when we were, I don't know, 13 years old, and so we've known each other since we were really young. And and then eventually I became his coach. I was a forward. I was coaching the D men, and I played with Richie for God knows how many years, like nearly 20 years or whatever at this point. And it's kind of one of those situations. Like I don't really know how Richie's going to respond to a guy who's a bit of a plug as a forward, giving him instructions as a D man. But he was totally open to everything, and it was always a conversation. And what about this? And what did you think I did? Like, did I do this right? And he would ask me questions. And can I look at the video? And we look at it together and stuff. And just the easiest guy to coach from that perspective because he'd take on board everything, even though there was every reason for him to think he knows better. But yeah,
I couldn't agree more with you though, but that's who Richie is. And it's like those are the teammates and people you want on a team is nobody knows everything and nobody knows exactly what's right and what's wrong. And it takes discussions with people to figure out what is right and wrong. But from me playing with Richie for that year, or year and a bit, and watching his diet, watching how much he cared, watching how much of a pro he was, but also just a nice, genuine guy and would do anything for anybody. And then I watch him play for Team GB on like TSN here, or I've seen like maybe a couple Devils games since I've been home that I've got a stream for or whatever. Um, Watching him play, I realize how smart he is and like how detailed he is because you watch him on a penalty kill, you watch how he ends up being the guy that blocks the shot and somehow doesn't get hurt. Um, but like the way he moves as a defenseman, I watch it when I watch Team Great Britain because he does everything like textbook. He is to the dot, he's back to the net, he doesn't go too far, he keeps them to the outside, and then when there's trouble, it's glass and out or a flip out to the neutral zone, and all of a sudden the trouble's all over. And it's like he's the steadiest player I've seen.
yeah, no. And actually, one of the other ones that I would say was probably surprisingly coachable was Hoth. Believe it or not, he was always open to criticism and he was always open to being told different things. And I remember in one game in Guildford, he was having like the worst game of his freaking life. And he was so bad that I benched him and for like the whole third period. And I thought that this was not going to go down well. Someone like Hoth, and you can imagine how bad he must have been playing for me to bench him, for Christ's
Right.
sake, because you don't bench someone like that easily. And after the game, he got undressed. He was obviously really annoyed because of the way that he played. And he just came up to me before he got on the bus and he said, "Pigs." And I was like, "Oh, here we go. He's going to like chomp me out and be all pissed at me." And he was like, "Yeah, that was the right decision benching me today. I was absolutely awful." I was like, "Oh, okay." So, and then, it's always been a good open conversation with him too as to we talk a lot of things through and come to solutions together. So actually, I think Hoth was surprisingly coachable, which may surprise a lot of people.
And you know what's funny about you saying him is I knew the competitor he was, and I knew that all he wants to do is win, and he wants to be good. And he also knew that screwing with Lordo made it fun for everybody. And Lordo actually enjoyed it because somebody was willing to do that with the coach. And it was hilarious. Like every time we'd show up for practice, the big blue tent, and the coach would walk in and he'd be playing, "We went out last night."
No, it's when he came in to do his pregame speech and he'd be playing that song, Hey Fat Boy.
Hey, fat boy. But they
or
did
or
have a
he,
good relationship, and it's like that's why Hot stayed there that long. He wasn't uncoachable. He's a gamer and he's hilarious.
it was always fun watching him get under his skin.
It sure was. I enjoy that stuff. That's hockey. Well, I guess we got to go back to the real world, eh?
You got to do it from time to time.
I got to go. I got to
Be a
do more.
father.
Well, that and finish some real world stuff, cook some dinner, watch baseball game.
I got to get to bed because I got to get up in the morning and go back to my duties.
Well, say hi to Lois for me, and thank you for making the time for me. And I'm glad you are finally episode 401. Sorry, folks, it took so long, but busy life we lead, right? Hey, and you owe me poster pics for Lee Freeman for Freeman Designs, who's done over 400 posters for me. You have to send me more poster pics, and he'll whip up a poster. And you know what? Small world is he just became the social media guy for game nights for the Cardiff Devils, and I think that's really neat for a guy that's put in all the volunteer work for me and. Whether I helped him or not get his name out there is I really appreciate what he's done for me, and I couldn't have done any of this without him. And I know that. And it's why I'm wearing a shirt with my shed on it that says it's a good day for living, shed family running amok. That's Lee. And that's also Sean Collins, who's always been my website maker guy. And has done everything and made the swag for me. And then we decided to shut down the website and carry on with just having fun and see what happens. But I appreciate everything he's done for me more than anything. Both of those two. It's amazing the people that have helped me get this far, you know?
Yeah, it's all about the team.
It is all about the team. And you know that. I know that. And this has been another episode of Two L's and Hockey Tales with Dr. Piglet and Wally.